Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to contour, bronze and apply blush to your skin. Now, I already have the foundation on and I haven't actually set my foundation, which means my foundation is still a little bit wet. So I can actually mix different products, I can manipulate the creams on my skin. Really important thing to remember is when we're doing contour and bronzer and blush at this stage, when the foundation is still a little bit wet, we're going to be looking at creams and liquids, because if I go straight in with powder, it's just going to get really blotchy. It's just going to sit on top of the skin. So we're going to be using creams. I have a contour stick here, and I'm just taking a little bit, and I'm going to place that on my palette. As you can see, my face is looking really flat. I have a full coverage foundation on now, so we really need to add a little bit of dimension. That bronzer is actually quite warm, but I can use the same color to create a contour shade. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to get a synthetic brush and adjust a little bit of that product. I'm not sure how much you can actually see here. I don't use too much of that product to then create my bronzer. What we need to do here is, let me find my mirror. We're going to use the bronzer mostly where the sun hits our face. You see, that's very strong. Don't worry about it. We're going to blend that out. I am just getting a little bit more on that same synthetic brush. And you can see how there is like a line between my hair and the bronzer. That is perfectly fine because I am blending. Again, because the foundation is still a little bit wet, even if I use just my finger, I can actually blend that in. So we want to create a really nice and soft transition from the hairline towards the foundation. So we need to apply that product really slowly and build that coverage if we need. I can see it's still a little bit patchy, so I'm just going in and blending a little bit more. And you can see how it's just starting to look a little bit more natural. Okay. I'm also going to get a little bit of that bronzer and I'm going to apply it on the top of my cheekbones. If you want to learn how to do this eye, I have just done a video on how to create this traditional black smoky eye. If you want to learn, I'm just going to link here so you can watch that later. So now I'm just applying a little bit here and just making sure we're blending everything in. Both sides, sometimes a little bit on my nose as well. Okay, so now that I have a little bit of leftover of that bronzer, I am going to add a little bit of blue to make that color slightly cooler, because the contour sits where the shadow hits your face. And so we have to think about cooler undertones. So I have my little wheel here and I am just getting a little bit of that blue, and you can see here, that's my original bronzer. And then after I mix the blue, we get a completely different tone. So the warmer shade is our bronzer and the cooler shade is our contour. For the contour, I'm going to use a different brush, and I'm just taking the excess off my spatula first. And we really need to work the product on the brush, because what we need to do is what we call prime the brush. You need to prime your brush, because otherwise you're going to get little spots with too much product sitting on the brush. And that when you apply on your skin, you're going to get like strips, or you're going to get marks on it. So what we're doing here, we're just basically working the product on the brush. And you can see I do have like a really nice line on my jaw. So I'm basically following that shape. So you can see, obviously this is quite strong. We're going to blend that in, but you can see that line. So it goes from the middle of your ear towards the corner of your mouth. So I am just gently, it's going to take these little hairs out. And we're going to blend that up. On the jawline, we are going under the jawline. You can see I do have a really well-defined jawline as well. And that gives us more definition. So with your placement, always find where your cheekbones are, and you want to go slightly under. Even if you do that, You can roughly see where your cheekbones sit, and you should be able to find your right placement. But generally speaking, from the middle of the ear towards the corner of your mouth. And I'm just going to blend that up. For the blush, I'm actually going to use the same lipstick I'm using. This is a really good trick that us makeup artists use because it kind of makes everything look like they belong together. And I find that sometimes a lot of people just spend too much time trying to match the lipstick and the blush and they don't know what to do. Just use the same color. This is actually my own lipstick. It's not from my makeup kit. So I am just placing that straight here. And I'm going to use a dual fiber brush to blend everything in. So I'm just pushing that on my skin because, again, we do have a lot of stuff underneath. And you can see how kind of natural that just starts to look because that's kind of similar, is the same color as my lipstick, basically. So, it just makes it look really even and natural, like almost like there's nothing on your skin. Okay, it went a bit too heavy then, so I'm just going back to the brush. I had my foundation. I'm not putting more product here. I'm just basically pushing that into the skin. So it kind of diffuses the color and makes it go in, if that makes sense. So that looks a lot more natural. I feel like I need a little bit more contour. So I'm just going back to that brush and I'm just applying a little bit more there. Now, I don't contour my nose, guys. My nose is very thin. If I contour my nose, it's going to look like it's 10 times bigger. So I just don't do it. Now, we've done our contour, our bronzer, our blush. Everything just kind of melted together. Really important to remember when you're doing your contour and your bronzer and your blush is that if your foundation is still wet, so I haven't set my foundation, I still have a lot of play time. And that's the moment you're going to be using cream products like these ones that I use here. I have customized the shade for my contour because, again, I'm a makeup artist, so I do have access to a whole lot of different products. But if you are at home and you want to do bronzer and contour for yourself, I suggest getting 2 shades or even like a shade of foundation that's a little bit darker for your bronzer. And for your contour, just try to find a specific contour product that has a cool undertone. So that's why you're going to be placing where the shadows hit your face and your bronzer. It's usually that warmth that, if you go for a walk in the sun, that's kind of the look that a bronzer will give you. It's just going to make it look nice and warm and a little bit of tan. And the blush, again, really good trick. Use the same color as your lipstick. I have literally used the same lipstick I was using before. On the lips, it's actually looking a little bit darker because I had a lip pencil that was much darker than the lipstick itself. But it's a really good trick if you want to do like a really simple makeup look and you don't have time, you don't have too much makeup, and you just need something that looks nice and natural. Just use the same lipstick. And that's how you apply contour, bronzer, and blush. If you like this tutorial and you want to learn a little bit more about makeup, subscribe to my channel.